There is a study called Rise of the SHEconomy. In this study, they suggest that 45% of prime working age women from the age of 25 to 44 will be single by the year 2030. The reason they did this research is so that the investors would know what to invest in the next 10 years. Now, from a business perspective, this is great because economically speaking, women drive almost 80% of all consumer purchasing. But from a relationship standpoint, is this a good thing? Let's talk about it. If you are a woman, 40 years old, no kids, no family, and you are genuinely fulfilled in life because you made a lot of money, good for you. I do think you are a minority. I think the majority of women are not going to be happy given the same circumstances. Now, it should be obvious that one of the many reasons why we see this rise in single people is because women are choosing career over family. A lot of women are putting off the idea of having a family because society tells them to just have fun in their 20s. Just focus on your career, you can still have kids until you're 35 or 40 years old. Like, look at this celebrity, she has a kid at 35 years old. Look at that celebrity, she has a kid at 40 years old. Now, you have to understand that this is an exception and not the rule. For a normal, healthy woman, it's not ideal to get pregnant past the age of about 28. Women early to mid-20s have about 25 to 30% chance of getting pregnant naturally each month. And by the time you get to about 40, your chance of getting pregnant is about 5%. Not only that, there's an increase in possible complications the older you get. As I'm saying this, I know there are going to be women who said, well, what if I don't want to have kids? Okay, that's fine, but make sure you understand what that means. When you're 20 years old, it's very easy to say, no, I don't want to have kids. But as you get older, that's likely gonna change. When you get to around 30 to 35 years old, for most women, the desire to have children is going to be quite intense, and nobody's gonna tell you this. There are just so many mixed messages that society tells you that it gets to the point where you don't even know what's natural to you anymore. They tell you that motherhood is not as high status. Why be a mother when you can have a career? They tell you to be independent. You don't need a man. Having a career is the new success for women. Now, I am not saying that having a career is a bad thing. I'm saying that society doesn't tell you about the whole picture. Personally, this idea that you shouldn't rely on a man and yet you should rely on a company that can replace you, just like this. This idea of working for a job that you hate so that you can buy a Louis Vuitton bag to impress the people that you don't even like. To me, that doesn't seem empowering. I don't see how that's a success. Women are biologically designed to be mothers. This is the result of thousands of years of evolution. For a woman, there's nothing more natural than being a mother. Yet somehow, motherhood is frowned upon in our society. When it comes to big decisions like this, you need to make sure that you're making an educated decision. When you say you don't want kids, just make sure you really think it through, because at the end of the day, you're coming home to an empty house. When you're 40 or 50 years old, all of your friends already got married and have kids. Even if you want to change your mind, you said, okay, now I want to have kids. It might be too late. So again, when you're 40 or 50 years old, no kids, no family, and you genuinely see yourself happy living that life, then that's fine. Focus on your career, good for you. At least you thought about it and you know that that's what you want. Now this brings me to my next point, which is the part that society doesn't tell you. That is, as you become more educated, better employment, better job, more status, as you move up the competence hierarchy, you are slowly pushing yourself out of the dating market. The independence that you just achieved is the very thing that makes it much more difficult for you to find a suitable partner. This is because of hypergamy, a very strong biological instinct that cannot be ignored. Women are hypergamous by nature. That means you want to be with a man who you perceive to be better than you. For example, you want to be with a man who's taller than you, smarter than you, makes more money than you. And there's a very good reason for this, because this instinct is what drives human evolution. If women were not hypergamous, let's say they would date anybody, even if the guy was ugly and stupid, human as a species cannot evolve. For example, if you were to date a stupid man, there's a good chance that your children will be stupid. And if your children are stupid, they can only date other stupid people. And when they have children of their own, those children are also going to be stupid. If this was the case, human as a species cannot evolve. This is why women are hypergamous, because this biological instinct is what drives human evolution. So because of this instinct, the more educated you are, the more intelligent you are, the less likely you are to find a suitable partner. Think about it. If you're really smart, you're going to want to date a man who's smarter than you. Therefore, the pool of men that you have to choose from is going to shrink significantly. Another example is about money. Most women are not going to be happy partnering up with a man who makes less than they do. So let's say you make $100,000 per year. You're going to want to be with a man who makes at least $100,000, or ideally more. If you look up the average income in the United States, men who make $100,000 per year are in the top 15%. Okay, what if you make $200,000 per year? Only 5% of men in the US make more than $200,000 per year. What if you make $500,000 per year? Well, now you're looking at the top top 1% of men who make $500,000 per year or more. So the more money you make, the smaller the pool of men you have to choose from. Now you can always settle for a man who makes less than you do, or a man who's not as smart as you are. That's a legit option, but you're not gonna be happy. If you wanna know why, check out this video here. One other consequence for a high achieving woman, educationally or economically speaking, is that on average, you tend to be much older than those who are just starting out. So understand that if you are 30 years old with a PhD making $100,000 per year, you are competing against these young women who are 19 and 20 years old working at Starbucks, but they are more attractive to men because men care about youth and fertility. So not only you have a smaller dating pool to choose from, but what's left of that dating pool is choosing younger women. Women who are generally more attractive and fertile. I know it seems unfair, but this is just the biological reality. I know it's unfair when you spend your most valuable resource, which is your time, in your 20s, getting an education, building a career, earning a lot of money, just to realize that men don't care about your education, your career, or your money. And now you're older than those women who you're trying to compete with. It is a harsh reality and it is unfair, which is why it's important that you know about this now, rather than listening to what the media is telling you. So what is the takeaway? As a woman, because of your biology, you have to make a decision between career and family. Now, I am not saying that you can't do both. You can do both, but you have to focus on one, because it's going to be very difficult to do both very well at the same time. Now, if you decide to solely focus on your career, from my perspective, and this is going to sound quite cynical, but you have two realistic options. Number one, live a single life. No husband, no kids. Number two, settle with a man who you're fundamentally unattracted to. Neither one seems appealing to me. Or you can choose to work a little bit, and I think it's a good idea to work so you can have a sense of identity, but spend more time focusing on having a family. It's going to be difficult, but I think ultimately that's going to be more fulfilling. Alright, I think that's it for today. I'm going to go invest my money in cat's food and wine. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Until next time, stay curious.